If you look at the recent sentiment data across executive coaching networks and anonymous corporate forums like Blind, there is a massive, highly frustrated cluster of professionals stuck exactly at the $150,000 to $250,000 mark. They are working 60-hour weeks. They have the highest output on their team. They have flawless performance reviews year after year, and they are consistently being passed over for a promotion. If this is you, the problem you are facing right now is not a lack of effort. It is a misallocation of it. You have fallen into what corporate professionals call the efficiency trap. You have made yourself so incredibly efficient at doing the daily work that you have become a structural bottleneck. You are simply too valuable where you are to be promoted. A recent study by the Harvard Business Review on middle management bloat found that the number one reason top tier individual contributors fail to reach the executive suite is their inability to detach from daily operations. Your boss looks at you and thinks, if I promote them, who is going to do all this work? Today, we are breaking down the exact institutional framework used to move from mid level into executive leadership. It is called the run versus change realignment. If you do not apply this, you will spend the next 10 years as the hardest working, highest paid workhorse in your division. In global banking and investment operations, we divide all human capital and all IT budgets into two distinct categories: run the bank and change the bank. Let's distinguish between the two. Run is maintenance. It is clearing the daily trades, answering the client emails, fixing the broken reconciliations, running the month-end reports, and putting out fires. It is necessary for survival, but it generates zero new enterprise value. Change is an architecture. It is building a new automated workflow that eliminates the need for reconciliations altogether. It is implementing a system that scales revenue without scaling headcount. One of my favorite quotes from George Bernard Shaw is, "Progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything." And I couldn't agree more. Furthermore, here's the mathematical reality of your career ceiling. If you look at time tracking data within major financial institutions, the people stuck in the middle office are spending 90% of their time on run and 10% on change. The people in the executive suite are spending 10% on run and 90% on change. If you want the executive title, you cannot simply do more run faster than everyone else. That just makes you a better operator. You have to actively shift your allocation. Throughout my whole career, I have always made it my goal to change something wherever I was, whatever my title. When I was a credit card debt collector, I didn't just make more calls. I created a script template and a routing system that would make me respond better to customers and close cases faster. When I was working in custodian operations, I didn't just manually check the numbers. I built a spreadsheet reconciliation tool that extracted two sets of data automatically, saving hours of manual cross-referencing. When I've made enough positive impact and the system can run without me, either I ask for a promotion or I leave, but always seeking a bigger challenge. That is the architecture of a career. To break the ceiling, you must create what I call operational alpha. This is the time you claw back from daily maintenance. You cannot walk into your managing director's office and say, "I'm going to stop doing my daily tasks so I can think strategically." You will be fired. Instead, you must aggressively automate or, where possible, delegate or even better, eliminate your run book. If you are spending 2 hours a day manually pulling data into Excel to build a risk report, you are operating like it's 2015. You need to leverage technology. We are in an era where massive operational leverage is available to anyone willing to learn it. You need to be using Python scripts. And if your company is forward thinking, they would equip themselves with internal large language models, aka LLMs, such as Microsoft Copilot. If you have access to that, you must turn that 2-hour daily task into a 5-minute automated task, either by using AI agents or Microsoft Power Automate. It took me less than a week to figure out how to use it, and now some of the most tedious tasks that I do work entirely on triggers that I set. I don't touch them. Look, I understand that for some of you this might be a bit of a stretch, especially if you're new to AI. It can feel like learning a foreign language. But there are numerous AI crash courses you can take, especially from LinkedIn Learning or Coursera. It's definitely a non-negotiable in the time we're in. The World Economic Forum estimates that AI will automate 85 million jobs, but create 97 million new ones for those who know how to manage the systems. At some point, you want to be the manager, not the managed. Here is the secret. Once you manage to automate your runs, you should not tell your boss you did this immediately. You don't hand that time back to the company to give you more busy work. Instead, you capture that 90 minutes of operational alpha and you quietly redeploy it into change initiatives. You use that free time to draft a proposal on how to restructure the entire team's workflow to save the firm hundreds of thousands a year in software licensing. You build the prototype. Always quantify the impact of your change in hard dollars. Naval Ravikant, an entrepreneur and investor, talks extensively about leverage. He says that in an age of infinite leverage, your judgment is the most important skill, not your physical labor. If you think about it, CEOs are valued mostly for their decisions and how they steer the company, not necessarily the executions. When performance review season hits, the efficient employee walks in and says, "I processed 10,000 transactions with 0 errors this year. I worked late every Friday." They are expecting a massive reward. They get a 3% standard cost of living raise. However, the architect of change walks in and says, "I built a system that eliminated the need to process those transactions entirely, reducing our team's operational risk by 40% and freeing up 20 hours of capacity across the floor per week." They don't just get a raise, they get the promotion, they get the lead title. The lesson here is absolute. Stop competing on volume and start competing on leverage. You will never outwork a system. You must become the person who builds it. To help you execute this, I have built the Operational Alpha Audit. It is a one-page matrix that forces you to categorize your weekly tasks into run and change and identifies exactly which processes you need to automate first. Download the framework via the link below. And hey, if you've watched this far, thank you, and please like this video so that it reaches other professionals who need to hear this. If this sounds fitting to you, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more institutional frameworks on building your career and your wealth. This is IJ from The Silent Wealth. See you in the next one.